Hey guys, JSimLady here. Today I am building a loft apartment with an abandoned storefront in Paralives. Let's get into it. First off, I have to tell you that this was one of the most difficult builds I have ever done. Not because the build or theme was difficult, but because for some reason, the minute I decided to attempt this build, Paralives became extremely glitchy. I don't know what happened recently. I don't know what updates they've been doing or whatever, but the glitchiness of this build is just, I have no words for it. Most of it you can't even tell. So initially I had built this lower level already, but I cut that out of the video and made it look like the video started at the second attempt. But you can see when I put the second story on that they don't really match up properly. That was the first glitch I ran into after demolishing the first build, which wouldn't even count itself as an indoor room space. I don't know how to explain it, but basically, none of the walls would, like, they were connected. They looked connected. You'll see this later on in the video when I build the primary bedroom. That room, no matter what I did, would not consider itself, like the game would not consider it as its own room. And instead, it was part of the hallway, or is part of the hallway. I don't know how that affects actually playing in the game, but it made it hard to paint the walls and things like that, because sometimes you'll get a situation where, oh, I already explained this in my tiny corner lot build, but basically you don't paint the walls like you do in The Sims 4 or any of the Sims games for that matter, one tile at a time. You paint an entire expanse of wall, if that makes sense, at once. And like the whole thing paints. I think you saw it a second ago because it looks like I already painted the inside of the fake store area. I didn't do anything special. I didn't press shift. I didn't do anything special. The entire wall length paints when you paint a wall in Paralives, right? So when a indoor space does not consider itself an indoor space, or when a room does not consider itself a room, you paint every wall that's attached straight out from that wall as if it's all one wall despite being two separate rooms. Hopefully that makes sense. It was more annoying for me than I think it will be for people playing it. But yes, I did put bars over the door. The store part is supposed to look like it is closed up and abandoned. I tried to add other stuff. I deleted some things from the lot that I assumed were in the build, or excuse me, the buy menu, but I couldn't find them anywhere. I couldn't find the newspaper stand. I couldn't find the dumpsters. I couldn't find any of that stuff anywhere. So I really regret deleting them, but it is what it is. And I did my best to make it look like the store part is abandoned, which might seem like a little odd to have an apartment loft above an abandoned store. But my thinking was The store was rented out until recently, and then the shop, for whatever reason, went out of business. And the family or the couple that was living above can't afford to move out. Like, they put all this money into their apartment, and you'll see in a minute. And so now they can't afford to move out. And the place is just starting to fall into disrepair with all kinds of, issues like with graffiti and neighborhood crime and all that. But they can't afford to move out because they sunk all their money into fixing up this apartment, thinking this was gonna be like the next big up and coming spot in town. Does that make sense? That's kind of the story that I made up in my head for this lot and this family. Now, where the inspiration came from is kind of twofold. I saw a video by Lil Simsy doing a loft build in The Sims 4. I'm pretty sure it was The Sims 4. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't done one of those in a very long time, and I don't know that I have even ever done one for my YouTube channel. I kind of want to build one. I love those kind of buildings. I love them. I used to build them all the time. I don't think that I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and check, but I don't think I ever did a speed build of one of them for my YouTube channel. So I'm like, let's give it a shot. I'll build my own version, but I'll do it in Paralives. And then I was exploring, this was like a couple of weeks ago or whenever she uploaded that video, and it was just something I was keeping in the back of my head. And then I was exploring Paralives, trying to find some inspiration, and I came across this part of town which I had never noticed before, and it had this apartment above a store, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is the perfect lot for a loft apartment. I'm gonna do it. So that's how you get this lot. As you can see, I made sure that the outside area looked very trashy and abandoned. Literally trashy. There's trash on the ground and cracks in the sidewalk or the cement where weeds are growing up out of and everything. Took me a really long time to get that looking good, a lot longer than it looks like in this speed build, to get that looking good and being exactly how I wanted. I'm really glad that I found that decal for the floor, because that looks so much better than my painted on hole in the cement that a tree grew up out of. So I'm glad I found that, and that is in the menu, so that's pretty awesome. I'm also making the lower part of the apartment like really sort of dirty, dingy, damaged looking. It's not the renter's responsibility to keep the lowest part of the building clean and graffiti free and stuff. They take care of their the second and third story, their part. And the landlord should be taking care of this part, but he's not. I did paint and kind of make the entrance to the apartment area kind of run down rusty metal stairs, kind of almost dirty looking walls, that kind of stuff, but with really kind of nice furniture in it. My thinking was that, again, they sunk all this money into their apartment, but they were going through room by room and renovating, and they just haven't gotten to the entrance room yet. They saved that for last, because by that point the store downstairs had become abandoned, and they didn't want to sink even more money into fixing up and making this apartment look nice. And in my mind, really all they did was to make the apartment look nice was to paint. they repainted the walls, they repainted like the stairs and the railings and the like kitchen cabinets and all that kind of stuff, which was all looking pretty rough when they first moved in. And this was the last room that they were going to work on when the store became abandoned and started to fall into chaos and disrepair and everything. So, yeah, that's kind of the story behind it. I did experience my second set of glitches when I was doing the terrain paint outside. It started to look a little pixelated and stuff. And so that's part of why I gave up and just kind of stuck the tree where it was at because things started to look funny. And that's another reason why I like that I found that floor decal because that looked so much better than what the terrain paint was starting to look like, being that it was getting weird. It was acting weird by that point. As I was doing this room, I didn't experience any glitches, so that was nice. But I wasn't 100% sure how to decorate it either, to be honest. It's kind of an odd little space, and I was half regretting using open stairs. I was kind of wishing we had closed stairs, but without the walls underneath, like you can do in The Sims 4, because then I would have like put storage under there or something. But with open stairs, you can't really easily do that. And again, it's their last room. They have not decorated or repainted or anything in that room much, so it's kind of still in a state of disrepair. Now, this is where I experienced, yeah, you can see it. This was by far my most major glitching, though. And the bedroom that you just saw became part of the hallway as these glitches were happening, and I did everything I could think of. At one point, I couldn't even get my floor back. I thought that the build was a lost cause at this point, and I was not gonna have a video to post on the day I'm uploading this video because I really thought there was no way I was gonna get it back. It was just a mess, and it looked like it only took a few minutes to get it back to a semi-usable state, but it didn't. It actually took me over an hour to get it back to a semi-usable state because I quit for a while, exited the game, came back, tried again. It still was not working. I kind of came up with a workaround, but again, that primary bedroom is part of the hallway now. There's nothing I could do to fix it. And I don't even know for sure that the pairs can use those stairs right there to get upstairs because it didn't connect to the floor. It's as if that floor doesn't exist. Like the game is not really truly recognizing it. So this is more of a, I just wanted to see if I could build a loft in Paralives kind of loft rather than a here, play with this house kind of build because, wait, did I say that wrong? I'm super tired. You'll have to forgive me. I did not sleep last night. Well, I did. I was sleeping really well. And then my boyfriend's alarm clock went off at 5 o'clock in the morning. See, I tried to fix it and nothing worked. Anyways, my boyfriend's alarm clock went off at 5 o'clock in the morning and I could not fall back to sleep after that. So I got like maybe 5 hours of sleep if I'm lucky. I'm a night owl, and people who tell night owls to just suck it up, I saw a post on Twitter recently, a very extremely rude person, probably just rage baiting, honestly, so I didn't engage. But they were like, you guys are babies and you need to just suck it up. I don't care what your issue is. You're just gonna have to grow up and be awake during the day like everyone else. Lady, you do not even understand the first thing about having what is considered a quote unquote circadian rhythm disorder. Let me tell you, it has been absolutely miserable most of my life. I almost didn't make it through my last couple of years of high school because I was so exhausted. I would literally cry and vomit every morning because my body was basically succumbing to severe sleep deprivation because I was sucking it up and trying to be awake. Well, I had no choice, but that's a whole other issue that I'm not going to talk about on here. But I tried to suck it up and be a morning person like everybody else, and my body just can't do it. Literally, physically can't do it. And then my underlying medical condition on top of it. No joke, my last 2 years of high school, I vomited and I cried every morning before school because I was exhausted. I was so exhausted. I don't even remember half of it anymore. So, yeah, why don't you grow up, lady? Sorry. Went off on a little personal tangent there because that really made me mad, and I am extremely tired right now, and I probably have PMS to boot, so I'm very emotional right now. Anyways, so I wanted the house to be kind of colorful, but I didn't want it to be obnoxiously colorful. I wanted it to be kind of like, I guess, sophisticated, colorful, if you will. I don't know. Is that the right word? I don't know. But I wanted it to be fun, but not obnoxiously fun. And also, this is a weird bathtub shower combo because there's no curtain or door. And I don't know why I didn't just trade it out for something else once I got the hang of using the transform tool, which again I object to because casual players are one, not gonna know it's there, and two, not gonna want to mess with all of that. They are gonna want to put stuff down and, place stuff where they want it and just be able to play the game. And advanced transforming tools are not it for casual players. So I feel like there should be some standardization for certain objects like showers and bathtubs and wall tile sizes and like appliances matching the same scale as the countertops and cupboards and stuff. I've said this before. I love this game. I like the art style of build mode. I don't love the para art style, but I love the build mode art style. And it's a great game and I absolutely recommend it. But it's like they have different people working on different objects and they're not sharing information with one another. And so things are not in scale with one another, if that makes sense. So a lot of this part of the build went pretty well. I didn't run into any problems that I remember of. with the bathroom, the office, and the living room space. It was just a matter of getting the furniture to look nice while fitting it in the space. And if you're wondering, I put the couch there rather than up against the railing because I thought that if this was a real life house, it would get really annoying if people were coming from the one and only bathroom in the house repeatedly, and the office, and the kitchen dining room area, and coming and going from the living room and or upstairs to the bedrooms, walking in front of the TV. So I thought having a walkway behind the couch, like between the couch and the railing there, would be the best way to handle that. And I feel like most people would do that in a real life house or apartment of this nature because it just makes sense to leave that little, like, almost makeshift hallway behind the couch and have the couch a little bit closer to the TV as well. And then at this point, I was starting to realize that I really need to get on making art for Paralives and House Flipper and stuff because they have added a lot in, but it is definitely limited. So I would love to be able to work on art for this stuff. I haven't had a lot of time recently, and this is where I remind you that I have a Discord. I will still occasionally post certain updates and events and whatnot to the community or post tab or whatever here on YouTube, but I'm working on transitioning to where I just post all my news and updates and stuff on my Discord. And if you go to my Discord, I have a post explaining some of the stuff that has been happening in my life recently and that has kind of taken over, if you will. Not that that's the only stuff going on. There's lots of other stuff as well. And it's kind of, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of been coming and going over the last couple of years. But, you know, just as a minor sort of brief explainer, especially why I missed my live stream last week on Thursday. I literally forgot that it was Thursday, and all of that is explained in that post. I think it's in the announcements channel on my Discord if you're interested. So, you see that pretty blanket as I'm kind of adding clutter to the living room here. That blanket is awesome. I love it. I love that we can put it on the couch and chairs and, you know, whatever else potentially. But it's also very glitchy. Watch what happens. So that one won't come up out of the floor, and as soon as I placed it, the one on the couch also disappeared, which was weird, and then I couldn't place it again. It would not place properly again. I couldn't move it. I couldn't raise it up. I couldn't do anything with it. So it was at that point that I'm like, okay, I might need to restart the game again. I'm getting some more glitching, and you know, this is gonna start spreading because once there's a little bit of glitch, like with painting the terrain at the beginning, one little piece of terrain started to pixelize and then it started to spread. Excuse me. It started to spread, and so I quit playing with the terrain paint. same with the wall issue and the missing floor issue and stuff. It like got worse and worse as I tried to fix it until I just stopped trying to fix it for a while and restarted the game. I should have at that point, but I didn't. I'm like, okay, the blanket no longer works. I just placed one a minute ago, but now I can't place another one. And the one I placed a minute ago disappeared, but sure, it's fine. I'm gonna keep going. And I did keep going until I got to the parents' bedroom, which you'll see in a minute. I didn't have any particular child in mind for this bedroom, so it's a little bit of an eclectic mix of like the cat plushie with the rocket neon light and stuff. I just, all things childhood. And so it fits really well with literally any child. So at this point, I did not yet know that there were more glitches about to happen, but I'm about to find out right now. I could place the end table at the end of the room, but not by the windows. And I thought, okay, this is an extension of the floor and wall issue that I'm having. I might just have to call this build, here and be done with it and maybe make a video out of it and explain that the game is very glitchy still. But I left and I came back the next day and I'm like, okay, let's see if exiting the game fixed it at all, and luckily it did, because I was really annoyed and sad that I was putting all this work into this build and it was like the game just did not want it to happen, and it was incredibly annoying. I got there in the end. I did experience the same glitch in the kitchen as well, where I could place the cupboards or the countertop closest to me on the floor, so closest to the living room on the floor. But when I got to the back of the lot, placing it against the wall at the back, it would just disappear. It just would not be there, and I could not place it down. And I experienced that like so many times when I got to this part of the build. That, yeah, it was pretty annoying. But we got there in the end. I did not play test it. Like I said, way back in the earlier part of the build, I had already figured that this was going to end up being more of a, hey, look what I can build in Paralives, rather than a, I should upload this for other people to play with kind of build, because it's incredibly glitchy. If you'd like me to upload it, I absolutely will, and you can play around with it and see, but I don't have very high expectations for it, if I'm being honest. Oh yeah, and then the upper cabinets issue that I had. Yeah, this lot is definitely glitchy, or the game is, depending on what has happened recently with updates or whatever. But I went to place upper cabinets above the fridge. It would not let me change the texture on the cabinet. I have plastic for the lower cabinets, or the lower cupboards or countertops or whatever you want to call them, but it would not let me change the one on the upper cabinet, and so I deleted it and I thought I'll place it down again with the saved texture, and then it wouldn't let me place that specific set of cabinets anymore. I could place other ones, but not that set of cabinets anymore, hence putting up the open shelves instead, because it literally would not let me place those cabinets anymore. They just completely disappeared. So, I might play a few more episodes of my Paralives playthrough, but I might not build in Paralives for a while again. I mean, if people are getting these kind of glitches where they can't place items because they just disappear or whatever in The Sims 4 and it's not caused by mods, like you don't have any mods in your game and you've never had mods in your game, then I can see why some people get angry. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody experiencing that particular issue without it being mod related. This is definitely Paralives as being glitchy. Like really badly glitchy. I still recommend it because I still think it could be a fun game if they can get all the bugs worked out. But yeah, it was really, really frustrating, and I don't know if I want to mess around with trying to build again. I don't know. I might change my mind though. I might become inspired and change my mind. But at any rate, we are coming very, very close to the end of the speed build, and I just put down a few more clutter items, I think, or like an art piece or whatever, and a table and chair set, and then I am done with the speed build part and we can get into the walkthrough. I I ran out of art. Sorry. Okay, let's get into the walkthrough. Sorry, hiding the UI is a real pain in the butt, especially with a 3-story build like this. So yeah, it's just gonna be on the screen. So we have the front here, the kind of closed up shop. Lots of trash, cracks in the sidewalk, all that kind of stuff. The place is definitely falling into disrepair. We have the entryway here where the paras kind of come in, do their shoe and coat thing. Made it look a little bit nice temporarily. Unfortunately, like I said earlier in the video, this was the last room that they were going to kind of fix up and make look nice, and they haven't gotten that far at the time of the shop kind of becoming abandoned. And then we have the living room, dining room, like kitchen area. You enter, it's kind of like a separate entryway, but it is like part of this. So you just kind of enter right into here, if that makes sense. And again, I wanted it to be colorful, but not obnoxiously colorful. So I put a bright green, not bright. I put a fairly bold-ish green couch in here with some boldly colored art here. But mostly I tried to stay neutral. They repainted is kind of the story. They repainted the railing here and the walls and kind of made it look a little bit better, and then refinished, I guess, or relaid down fresh flooring. I think we'll go with they refinished the flooring. That seems a little bit more plausible, right? Then we have the bathroom in kind of a terracotta brick and a kind of orangey terracotta color. Tub shower combo. I did not think, like I said, to put a curtained or a doored shower and bathtub here, so I built a divider wall. Lots of storage, only bathroom in the house, unfortunately. Tiny office, but plenty of room to store a bunch of books and have a computer here for working from home or whatever your paras want to do. Then we have the upstairs and this kind of, I don't know, vaulted open loft area here, which in a way kind of looks all the way down to the front door. I didn't even realize that until now, but yeah, it kind of looks all the way down to the front door. That's kind of cool. I love this area right here. It's my most favorite part of the whole build. I love areas that have like these big windows on a huge giant wall like this. If I could do stairs, I think I'd want to at least like visit and take a vacation in a house like this. Maybe not necessarily live there permanently. That's a lot of going up and down the stairs. But then you have the bedrooms here. Again, lots of greens. I don't know why I did that. I was just feeling green for this house, I guess. And colorful, but not overly colorful. We've got the primary bedroom here, the kids' bedroom here, just a little hallway area that you can expand for toys or for hobby things or whatever. And there you have it. There is my Paralives Loft build. Again, if you'd like me to upload it, let me know. But it is, I will warn you, a very glitchy lot, and I have not play tested it, so I don't know how well it's going to work for you. But yeah, I think it turned out cute for looking at anyways, and I really like it. I just wish it wouldn't have been so glitchy. On that note, if you enjoyed this video, if you're enjoying my channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!